Okay, moving right along. I really do. I got like 8 days left, and I got like over 10 movies. Anyway, we're up to $1 Million Baby, which is the Clint Eastwood film from 2004, Best Picture. It's a movie ultimately about bodily autonomy, and euthanasia because spoilers, I guess. Maggie, who's the main character or one of the main characters, gets paralyzed, and she gets asked to kill her. Frankie, who is Eastwood, the killer. It's a very, very good film. It's very emotionally, very, very emotional. I don't want to say it's unpredictable, though. That twist of her breaking her neck in the final fight does kind of come out of nowhere, though in retrospect it kind of absolutely fits the sort of bullheadedness of the characters and everything like that. I will say this: this Clint Eastwood as a director, and Swank, Freeman, and Eastwood as an actor all elevate the script. The script. I like the script. I like the story. The characterizations are very, very good. Frankie's one of the most complex characters Eastwood has ever played, because he's very, very riddled with guilt, and he morally ambiguous, and you don't fully understand why he's writing his daughter and why he's like teasing the priest or whatever, and everything like that. So it's a very cool, very good core script. There is some first draft issues because Clint Eastwood sort of famously, if he likes something, he doesn't like dwelling on it. He just sort of wants to go and shoot it. This is one of the reasons why he usually has one film out every year, until like very recently. Sometimes 2 films a year, because he basically finds something and he's like, yeah, let's go shoot it. And $1 Million Baby was made in from him selecting the script to them doing all the actual shooting was like 33 days or something, which is absolutely insane for a movie. Even a movie that is relatively self-contained like this. In any case, the script is actually a first draft. I kind of wish Eastwood or Haggis worked on some stuff. I feel the Maggie's family is overdone, as in they're a little bit too caricature. I also feel that the Blue Bear, who was the opponent who hurt, who's the dirty fighter, is a little bit overdone. But because the movie's ultimately sort of about a battle of wills between Frankie and Maggie, and there's sort of a quasi father-daughter relationship, because Frankie is out of, he's missing his daughter, and her father died. That it's ultimately sort of a surrogate father daughter relationship. That's so the stuff which is now a little bit out of focus, a little bit out of whack for the writing, doesn't ultimately bother me while watching the film. It's basically after I get back or think about it from on, I just get sort of annoyed. In any case, let me bring up a scene here, because one of the things that I really, 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 really like about this film is the directorial style. This scene right here is she's been asking to be trained by him, and he keeps saying no because he doesn't want to get close to her, because subtextually he reminds her of her daughter / the whole machismo thing. But Clint Eastwood really pushes this movie visually, and this scene is probably the most striking example of it. He really does push it visually into a quasi-noir film of the deep shadows. And she's talking about how she has to fight all her life, and that she only feels good while boxing, and how she's determined to be trained, blah, blah, blah. And he's going to show her how to hit the bag. But in terms of like the visual construction, it's pushed into almost And in places black and white, and there's a ton of characters moving in and out of shadows in this movie, and it really helps elevate the script in that it really feels like the characters are always on the edge of an abyss. And then also that sort of works ironically, because the movie is pushed into kind of black and white, where its morality is exceedingly gray, then it really sort of fits, because again, at the end of this movie, Maggie is euthanized by Frankie, and it's not portrayed as a necessarily as a good act. It's ambiguous. Some people, sometimes when I've seen this film 4 or 5 times, sometimes I feel like he's murdering her. Sometimes I feel like it's he's doing what's right, and everything like that. But in any case, the sort of visual construction, in terms of the lighting being pushed into sort of noirish, really helps with that, ironically. The other thing that helps sort of elevate the script is the script has a sort of, I don't want to say obviousness, but it's not really a bluntness. It's sort of a classic melodrama structure, because you have, the broken down fighter and Scrap, and then you have Danger, who is sort of a heart of all. There's a subplot with Scrap and Danger. Danger is all heart, and Sherelle is all talent, and she's a mixture of both, because it makes a thematic triangle, and that's very classical structured. And then her, excuse me, the bodily autonomy issues. So, being in the center of the story because of the euthanasia element. Of course, the Blue Bear is a prostitute. So that's what I mean. There's a sort of classic arch type edge to the writing that really, that's my favorite shot in the movie. To me, it says everything about those characters, about how they're united in darkness, surrounded by light, because they're such lost souls. Anyway, so there's a bluntness to the, or there's a classical archetypal tenure to the writing. And because Eastwood, excuse me, has a very classic sensibility, he keeps the camera very, very still and very, very alive, and he doesn't use all that much flash in it. So it's very much, again, Eastwood as a director is very Ford-esque, but it's very Ford, master cut, establishing close-up, medium, close-up, 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 and then every once in a while pulling back. He doesn't shoot the fights very flashy at all. They're very stripped down, minimalistic. He uses very few high angles and everything like that. And the simplicity, of the of the camera work really helps with focusing on the characters. And because the script itself is sort of an archetypal thing, it really does work. Now, I have to say this, and I'm sure I've expressed this before because I've talked about this movie. It does really bother me, and I can understand if you have issues, if you're hypersensitive to ableist messages. The whole way in which they explain the euthanasia is Maggie tells the story about how her family dog was injured and it has to be put down, blah, blah, blah. And then she makes an analogy when she has her been paralyzed. And of course, it's a very pernicious idea. But the thing is, it feels very much like how Maggie Fitzgerald would express it. In any case, this movie is a very, very good film. It's only, I think it's Eastwood's second best film behind Unforgiven in terms of being a director. I actually almost like him better in this as an actor than in Unforgiven, though it's two very good performances. The thing I like most about this movie is how emotional I find it. It's a testament to Eastwood's power as a director, and then Freeman, Swank, and Eastwood as actors, that despite the issues I've been talking about in the script in terms of writing, and also sort of the pernicious way in which they handle sort of the ableism around her being paralyzed, that I find it as emotionally gripping and powerful as I do. Anyway, that's going to be it for Cubs and Culture today. See you guys tomorrow. Or maybe not. I'll see you guys.